Can I taste your juice?
Hey folks, PBusardo. So I've been given the unique opportunity to interview these gentlemen about a new partnership that's been created. We've got Brandon from Evolv, we've got George from Innokin, we've got John from Evolv, and I'm just going to be in front of the camera for a little bit. Now I'm going to go behind the camera because I got a bunch of questions, and we're going to hear from these guys about this new partnership that's been created. Okay, so here we go. All right, so we've met all of these people in some of my videos before. I'm actually a very, very recent video that you just saw. So let's go through names and titles and the companies that you work for. Okay. So we'll start from the left.
I'm Brandon Ward. I'm with Evolv Inc. I'm the president of the company.
I'm George, vice president of Innokin.
Okay.
I'm John. I'm chief engineer of Evolv.
Awesome. So let's talk about the collaboration and you know, how it got started, who approached who. So let's talk a little bit about that first. George?
I remember on Brandon, my first time in California, first time in ECC, and you know, that time actually I'm not very familiar about Evolv, but I do see lots of videos and the people talking, lots of information. They talk about Evolv. There's lots of positive information. Okay. We know the products very good. And first, when I met Brandon and we talk a little bit about that, we think we have a same mission. They're good people and they're very smart. They do very good products. So I talked to my partner, say this will be, you know, will be future products. So that's the first time we know each other. Later, we are more close communication and share information, talk the products, and also talk the future. So that's where we get more and more close. So that's why we will come together.
Okay. We actually started to talk in earnest back in, I guess it was November of 2013.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. Is when did the talks begin?
Yeah, that's when we started to talk about different products and what we could do for them, what they were looking for. They were very, you know, Innokin has a very good idea of what they want. They know their market very well, and so they started to guide us along that path. And the result was, you know, the first board, obviously the SV2, came out of that.
So, how long did the collaboration take from when we first started talking to what George is holding in his hands right now?
I'd say about 6 months before we were through all the, you know, all of the different steps in doing a collaboration like this. You know, something this large with you know, with an overseas company. It took some time. It took some time, you know, for the design. It took some time for everybody to, you know, for Innokin to figure out exactly what they wanted.
Okay. So what was like how about the biggest challenge in coming up with the final design or just working together in general?
I think the biggest challenge was coming up with the structure where we were going. Innokin knew where they wanted to go and how to get there. We knew where we wanted to go and how to get there. And then we had a pair of lawyers trying to hammer out a legal agreement for a long time between us. And eventually we just told the lawyers, no, stop, we're just, you know, make something work. And then all of a sudden it went a lot smoother. So
yeah, we more or less had to take control of that, you know, and say, look, you know, we want to work with these guys. We want them to be our customer. You know, they want our products. And that's how. You know, that's how we finally came to our solution.
That takes some time. Well, people will say why. So take it like 6 months.
Yeah.
But I want to say that, you know, to build the trust in the right direction, that's take time.
Absolutely.
But right now, we think we have right direction. The way to go. So that's where together and we'll do great job together.
Right. So George, this is your first visit to the Evolv facility here. What did you think about what you saw today?
very impressive, I can say, very impressive. You know, myself is not engineer, but like John, Brian, the presentation showed me everything they done, so that's pretty impressive. Very good people, very good products, and I can see that's, you know, it's very good company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're holding the panel. That is the new Innokin board. Okay.
It's very large, if you notice.
Yeah. By the way, that's a panel.
That big
She's that big a device.
So that's the new mega MVP that it's going to go into, right?
Well, see, it's 20 watts per 30
times
boards.
36.
So.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a panel of boards, and that gets you know, cut up into smaller boards that's going to fit the device. And the first device that's going to feature the Evolv technology is going to be the SVD. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that, I say the first device, right? So does that mean there are going to be future devices that use the Evolv technology from Innokin?
That's a good question.
And there it ends. It's always the same thing. George is just like Brandon, apparently. So there could be. Okay. I know a lot of people were asking why 20 watts. Okay. I think I know the answer, and it probably has to do with your target audience, your target market. Okay. But maybe you can speak to why 20 watts. Some more. Anybody?
First, I want to say, you know, before we launch the ITS SVD 2.0, we do talk to some the people. Actually, we talk to some customers. So the 20 watts actually is a good number. And personally, I've vaping a long time. I enjoy vaping. The 20 watts is planned for me, and you know, this is just for beginning. We expect to bring more and more exciting new device in the future.
So clearly, this is a start for you. This is a starting place for you.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that this is a step for them. I mean, you know, coming from their last device, their last most powerful device was 15 watts. So, you know, it's a progression to that. You know, in their market, you know, you're never going to run a stock tank. You know, if a night or iClear 32B, you're never going to run that 20 watts. So, you know, I run my K-Funds. I use K-Funds almost exclusively, and I run those, you know, usually around 14, 15 watts.
Right.
For me, the SVD2 would be fine. It's going to be the workhorse of the
The workhorse,
you know, yeah,
right.
it's the workhorse. It's the thing you count on to fire every time.
Right.
Fire consistently.
Right.
And also, I mean, as Evolv, are we happy to throw power at things? I'm not sure that we are, because we've always been trying to do things the best and do things as they're necessary. Could we make a 5 kilowatt device or a Regal Vape 4000? Yes. Are we going to? Well, can you take 4,000 watts worth of heating power into your lungs? No. So I don't think Innokin came to us, and I don't think we're working together because they want a device for the 0.0001% vapor who doesn't have a drip tip and doesn't is wound 8 coils of 3 reps each, and they're all in parallel. I mean, that's not their customer. They want a guy who goes to a vape shop, gets a device, he can use the device for a year. It's always going to work. It's going to work reliably. It's going to work consistently. That's really the goal, rather than for this product saying, well, look, I can fill this entire room with one breath and you can't see through it. Will there be devices like that in the future? I can't speak to that from Innokin's standpoint, but that's a very small portion of the total market. And a guy coming from an ego twist, is freaking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, to get a device like that with that kind of consistency, you know, that kind of range.
And frankly, that kind of power compared to a twist.
That's what I'm saying. You know, that's an experience he's never had.
So, this is a very unique collaboration, okay, in that China is coming to America for electronics. I mean, like, wow, right? So, why? You know, talk to me more about that.
Like Phil say, you know, I want to say, like, sometimes you believe in magic when it happens. Then I want to explain why we proud to work with Evolv. I think there are three main reasons. The first one, you know, we have the same mission. I believe both of us want to make like a consistent, safety, high technology, and innovation personal vaporizer products. Second, well, I think we want to expect to continuously while innovating to development the new products for the grow the vaping market. You know, we expect it to bring more and more amazing or exciting the new devices for the vaping community in the near future. So this is the main reason I think we are work together.
Okay, so you see the vision of Evolv. You see that Evolv is not going to stop with the panel that you have in your hand, and you want to take advantage as a company of some of the new stuff that's going to come out of Evolv.
Exactly.
Right. So there's definitely an issue, not only here, but and I try to reinforce this all the time, but also in China with knockoffs and clones. Okay, and I've said this before. We've talked about this before that your stuff, Innokin's product, is being knocked off and cloned just like everybody else's product, right? So what steps are you taking as a company to prevent that from happening, especially now that we're going to have the Evolv technology in your product? And you know, how can a consumer protect themselves and ensure that they're getting genuine Innokin product with genuine Evolv product in it?
In the packaging, in all products packaging, the menu, we usually get the right information. We suggest that people only buy from Innokin authorized vendors.
Okay.
Also, we get like the security code stickers, so everyone is unique security code. So the consumers, they buy that, they check in the website and they get information whether it's knockoff or original Innokin products.
Okay.
And we also will be, right now we get more like, right now we have just have one security code, but in the near future we'll get like a double or one more to you let consumers to buy only the avoid or protect they buy knockoff products.
So you are taking numerous steps to make sure that real product the real product gets in the hands of the end consumer.
And then on the Evolv side of it, these boards are actually serialized also. So there's a way to get at a serial number, which obviously will divulge at some point in the future. But you'll be able to look up whether this was produced here in Akron, Ohio by this is the unique encrypted serial number, and each one will be different because each one gets programmed individually.
Right.
So you can look it up, but that's I think really more for if Innokin goes to one of their customers and says, hey, you've got a whole lot of SVD2s. I don't remember selling you any this month. They can look up and see if they're generic or genuine.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we have to be this reactive.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, I mean, taking a proactive stance.
But also, I mean, as annoying as the cloning is, one of the things that both Innokin and Evolv are working very hard on, and part of sort of our core corporate identities is we're always moving forward.
Right.
Somebody who's cloning can only ever be attacking where you are. They can't attack where you're going.
They're always chasing.
So,
yeah, of course.
you know, as we always improve and always innovate, the cloners will always be behind. Now, how far behind? Maybe they'll be 6 months behind, maybe they'll be 3 months behind, maybe it'll take them a year depending on what technology we're talking about, but they'll always be behind.
Right.
And usually, they try to copy. They copy a design outside, but inside, the core technology is very hard to.
Yeah, their execution has been very poor to this point.
Right.
I mean, that's.
Right.
But also, if they could execute well, why wouldn't they go do their own thing?
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's the question.
So the panel that you hold in your hand right now, that is the real Innokin SVD 2.0 chip, okay, or in that case panel, right? Why not just an off-the-shelf DNA 20? Okay, so that is specific to Innokin, and you know, what were the requirements of that the DNA 20 did not have? So why is it a custom piece?
well, one of the things I want to point out is this isn't a recycled DNA 20. This is a fundamentally different board. This board actually has, without talking too much, because I run my mouth too much about stuff coming out, because I, you know, being the engineer, I live in that space. This has more to do with products you haven't seen yet than it does with last year's DNA 20. It's topologically different. It's step up, step down. It has reverse battery protection. It's a fundamentally different board than the DNA 20. So following boards will look more like this rather than less. Also, it's custom because when you're running in the kind of volume Innokin has, they don't really want to say, well, okay, we've got the ability to run a potentiometer or off-board buttons or on-board buttons, because who cares? We're using the on-board buttons, so let's not waste the real estate, let's not have the extra cost of being able to do anything for any mod. So that's one of the reasons it's custom.
Yeah.
Another is because running in their volumes, it's more assemblable to do it this way rather than to do a generic one. So by doing a custom board, we can make it so they can put them together faster, we can produce more, and frankly, if you're as big as Innokin, it just makes sense to have a custom board.
And they were very clear with us. You know, they wanted our technology, but they wanted it in the form factor that they wanted. They were very clear about how they wanted it laid out. They were very clear. I mean, they're very purposeful in their designs. So, you know, the DNA 30s, the DNA 20s, just the stock off-the-shelf ones are built for any sort of situation, any sort of build. They were very specific about what they wanted, and that's nice because it, you know, it gives us a framework to work with. You know, they wanted our technology, but they wanted it in a very specific form factor in a very specific way.
Right. So assembly is going to take place in China, correct? Final assembly. Mm-hmm. Okay. Will all the boards continue to be made here in the U.S., or will some of that move to China as well?
No, they'll always be made here in Akron.
They'll always be made in Akron. Okay.
Well, I would say they'll always be made in the U.S. And in fact, they'll probably always be made in Ohio. I don't know that we'll necessarily always be
in Akron.
Okay.
Because half of the employees are up in Ashtabula anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, we do have 2 locations. So.
Okay. Sounds like you have plans for expanding already in the back here. You can't fit much more.
More stuff to the gills here.
Right.
Yeah. So, what I did was I posted kind of a question on Facebook. You know, if you could ask Innokin and Evolv any question about the collaboration, you know, what would it be? That people didn't know why I was asking it, but I asked it, and I asked it for this reason. So what I'd like to do is go through some of the questions from some of the folks on Facebook. Okay. Neil Belkin asks, what makes Innokin and Evolv the ideal partnership?
Well, I think from...
And I think we spoke to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think from Evolv's side, you know, one of the attractions of working with Innokin is the simple fact that they, you know, they're I mean, they're definitely a force in the industry. I mean, they definitely have, you know, a big part of the market, and they're also, they're known for, as you said, original design. You know, we like that. They like to, you know, they like to push forward. You know, and like us, they're not afraid to bring something out that may or may not fail. You know, and that I think we like that about them. You know, they're always, they're not copying anyone. They're always trying to come up with unique and new things. They do care about the vapor, as we do. I think that shows in the fact that they're present here in the United States. They're present at the shows. And just having talked to George and James, these people actually do care, and we like that about them too. And I think that. I think that pretty much sums up, at least from our side, why we like, why we like Innokin. Right?
The products for the market. The market is grow. We need right products. Right product innovation and safety products. I think that's his main, very important parts. I know that in the market they make advertisement and say that's very safety, but that's honestly it's not safety. So we want the responsibility for the market, for the consumers. So that's the reason we need to get the right products, the safety and innovation. So I think that's the main reason.
And then also, another thing we like about Innokin is we feel like they're in this market for the long haul. Like Innokin are engaging in the whole FDA ridiculousness. They're they're a member of TMA, which is the same trade group we are. They're really engaged. They're not gonna show up, run out a knockoff of one of our other customers and then disappear like somebody else might. They're a good, solid, respectable company who really are working hard to be I guess one of the good guys in the industry is the best way I would put it.
So here's one we may or may not get an answer to. Melanie Harrison writes, will there be an upgraded MVP? Will it use Evolv technology? And will it be 30 watts?
I'm waiting to hear too.
That's a very specific question.
It sure is. It sure is.
I just want to say, everything is possible.
Okay. Let me try.
Anything's possible is a nice.
Let me try asking the question differently. Will there be an upgraded MVP? Ooh, see, we got touchy questions here.
That's George's angry look there.
That's his angry look? Do you want me to move on?
That's
Do you want
to make the products is actually from beginning to the end. It takes time thinking. It's not just that they do that. We need to think more things.
Why don't you use Brandon's stock answer? Brandon, when people ask questions like that, always says we're always developing new technologies.
Let me see how vaguely I can ask this question. How about this? Will Innokin ever produce another box-style device? How about that? Just answer yes, George, for God's sake. So we've asked some of these questions before. Wilco had asked, and we talked about this. How will the collaboration affect the current DNA production schedule? And you guys,
not at all.
Not at all. Okay, because we're
still developing. Obviously, this is.
So
Innokin is.
Sorry. From a production standpoint, we've been working very continuously this year to increase production capacity. And I think people, if they notice in the past couple of months, should see that DNAs have been somewhat more available than they were previously. In the next several weeks, probably before this video gets out, we'll put on even more capacity. So we're currently going through a capacity expansion where the total number of boards we can make in a day triples. So if everybody runs out and buys SVD2s, we're happy to put on more machines, more lines, run more products. So our goal is to have DNA availability increase and production numbers increase. We're not saying, hey, let's take all our capacity and hand it to Innokin and everybody else can go fish.
Yeah, I was just going to say no, that won't be a problem.
Easier.
Yeah.
Less
I like his answer. Yeah, less credible. Right.
Okay.
So
Niagara Kayaker, I'm going to rephrase this a little bit, but he asked, what do you consider, Evolv, what do you consider your core vision to be?
I think, you know, like I said before, I mean, maximizing the quality of the I mean, you know, I guess John and I see e-cigarettes as a challenge, as something that needs solved, if you will. And I think that, you know, every new technology we bring out is getting us one step closer to solving that, you know, to solving the e-cigarette.
Okay.
And I think if you look at it from that, you know, standpoint, that everything that we do is a progression toward that. You know, just making them better, making them more usable.
Okay. So your core vision would be to solve the electronic cigarette.
Yeah.
I think that really encompasses it. You know, and doing it safely, doing it with quality.
Well, if it's not safe, it's
Right.
not solved.
It's not solved.
Right.
I mean, if you want to go one step farther than that, maybe our mission is end cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, give some, you know.
If you can make an e-cigarette that's better for all values of better than cigarettes, if it's safer, if it's more convenient, if it's more tastier, if it's a better user experience, it's not gonna sentence you to a horrible lingering death. There would be no reason to use a cigarette unless you're acting in a play. So, really perfect the e-cigarette and end cigarettes.
George, how about
if you don't like?
How about you as a company? What do you consider your company's core vision to be?
You know, yes, we are the Chinese manufacturer, but lots of, you know, I don't know whether it's true or not, but still there's lots of people say that's made in China. The products, it's not good quality. They say it's made in China. That's, you know, it's not stable, or just poor price. But I and my partner or team, the main, you know, the vision. We just want to make the unique innovation, high technological safety products. We want to show the people, even in China, we want to show the like our competitors or like other company. We want to show them. Although we're a Chinese company, but we can do difference. We want people say that's, you know, not all of made in China products is poor quality. We just want to show we are the flagship. We want to show the people. You can see, oh, Innokin, they did it. They did a very good job, and the people say that's the good company. They did it. So we just want to give the people the encouragement. Stop knockoff. Think about that. Use own the idea. Do yourself. Then you also will be success.
Okay, I'm going to ask part of, this is an interesting name, Crack6 Hacks.
Wait, what?
We answered a couple of his questions already, but this is an interesting question. So obviously, Innokin has had a lot of input into the design of that board, right? Does Evolv have any input into the design of the hardware at all?
No. I mean, other than they told us what it was going to be encapsulated. I don't think we influenced their design decisions. Okay. The shell was their shell.
Okay.
The core technologies are.
I think that. I mean, we'll bandy back and forth a little bit, but really, best value is where you let everybody do what they're good at. And we're really good at technology, and we're good at boards. If you look at a Darwin, we're not great at cases. We're not great at mechanical assembly. So
right.
I think part of why we hope this works well is let everybody do what they're really good at,
right.
and leave them to that.
Right. warranty service. Okay, we have a Chinese product. We have an American board going into a Chinese product being assembled in China and then being shipped back here to America. Where does this thing go for the end user if they have a problem with it?
Yes. Previously, usually the end use or like vendors, you need to ship the defect products to China. Then we fix or we give a replacement and ship back to America. So that's kind of inconvenience, will take time.
Sure.
Now we set up the after-sales service center and warehouse in California. So in the near future, we would expect to start to work early or middle of September. So in the future, the end users or the vendors just ship the products to California. Then we just fix or give replacement. So that's more effective.
Okay, so you're basically setting up warranty claims and then servicing here in the U.S. to speed things along, which makes total sense. So we've heard value for a different reason. We've heard price. We've heard cost. How will this collaboration affect the end user pricing of the Innokin product? Is this going to raise your price? Is this going to keep? Is it your intention to keep your pricing where it is? Is it going to lower the price? Talk to me about pricing.
The ITS SVD 2.0 is powerful, beautiful, intelligent. The price will be affordable. So the SVD 2.0. How about a target as to when this thing is going to be available to the public? Is there a date that you're shooting for? The hardware, the device is ready, so it's early September.
So you're aiming for September for release?
Yeah, early September will be sure.
Sure. Okay. Good.
Maybe it's a bit earlier. Depend because but since everything is ready, it's almost done.
So I think this is kind of an interesting question, okay? Because George, obviously in the Innokin products in the past, you have been using Chinese manufacturers for your boards, for your electronics, right? How do the Chinese board manufacturers look at Innokin now that Innokin is using an American electronics board as opposed to a Chinese board?
I can say why not. Some of them say you guys crazy. We're crazy, but we're smart also. Honestly, in the beginning, we push the existing supply. You need to make better. You need to innovation. You need to do the upgrade or something. But sometimes they just believe that's enough. Actually, the technology is never stop. They always grow and grow to make better, and the best. So we say, okay, if you don't want to move or don't want to make progress, then we have a choice. Because what company we need to be, to be always development or innovation or to be top. So Evolv, that company, they always, they do all best products. So that's why we choose Evolv DNA.
Right. So you want to be more cutting edge. You want to be innovative. You need a board manufacturer that's going to do that for you, right? Okay. But it's got to be kind of unique because, look, this is going to happen. There's going to be Chinese companies that are going to be mad at you. There's going to be American companies that are mad at you. We're clearly seeing some of that, on social media and.
Yeah, for the business, the point maybe some company will mad, but for long term, still the market want the right products. I think they will be happy.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think that needs to be your primary concern is the end user. What's going to give the end user their best experience, right?
Yeah.
I think that we as a company, Evolv, speaking for here, we work with good companies. I don't think you can just simply. I don't think you can just simply look at the country of origin and make a blanket statement. I mean, you look at Innokin. Don't look at is it Chinese? I mean, I think one of the things that's important to them, which I would argue is not as important to some of the other companies I see out there, is that what's stated on the box, the actual specs, it can reach it. That's important to them. That they're not lying to the consumer. That they're not giving information that is just simply not they're not over-speccing it on the box. It can actually do what they say it can. I think that that in and of itself is something. They're not playing that marketing game of well, this will reach here or this will do this, and it actually can't, or it won't, or it can't do it well. Right. And I think if you just say, well, Evolv's working with a Chinese company, well, no, we're working with Innokin. Okay, I mean that's, and I think that's. I think to be that pejorative about just say, well, it's China. Well, no, it's not. It's Innokin. And I think if you look at that, I think that's that's really been our model. We work with good companies. We always have worked with good companies, and we'll continue into the future to work with good companies, regardless geographically of where they are.
So we did talk about the fact that it's a 20-watt board, right? But what we didn't talk about is how low of a resistance it will fire into. Okay, so what is the board spec for? Is that something we can talk about at this point?
Sure. It's we think Innokin already released that information. At full power, it'll fire into half an ohm.
Half an ohm.
Half an ohm.
Okay.
0.05, yeah.
0.5. Okay, cool. I noticed Innokin all of a sudden has more of a presence in social media. You have a Facebook page now, right? Okay, which I think is kind of cool and kind of interesting. But what Brandon touched on before, and we should probably talk about the FDA regulations, that are coming. So you are taking an active role in those regulations and speaking to those regulations. So what are you as a company, as Innokin, what are you doing? Where are you involved other than just making and selling devices?
It's a good company. That doesn't mean you just produce a production good products. But the good company, we also know that responsibility, for the whole industry or for the people. So that's, FDA regulations. So we also join. We get lawyer. We get in the first time we get lawyer to write the documentations to exchange the extension date, and also we get comments to submit to FDA. So that means we want this industry or vape industry to be to be still move forward. We know this is very good products. They help people, so we don't want. We know that the FDA will make very the smart decision, but we still know that we need to say something or give our comments to FDA. So we did it. We do that. And also we encourage or we ask the people or vendors. We make the contest in Facebook. We give a bunch of products for contest or giveaways for the people, encourage them to active to make comments.
So it is nice to see a company like Innokin be involved in that side of the industry as well. I think that's really important. Okay, so how about final thoughts? This is your last opportunity to talk to the people that you're talking to right now. What do you guys want to say? We'll start, how about with Brandon?
Okay, we're excited about the Innokin. We're excited about the new product and marching into the future.
Okay. George?
Yeah, very exciting. Very proud to work with Evolv. And for Innokin, we'll continue supporting the vaping community to continuously developing new, more amazing products in the industry. I believe so. This cooperation will be a milestone in the history. Continue support Innokin and Evolv. So with your support, we'll working together and make more amazing devices.
I'm really excited to be working with Innokin to show sort of the mass market customer just how good vaping can be.
Look, John's on his phone. John's doing important phone stuff over there. It's okay, John. You can stay on your phone. John, he just worked 20 deals just then. He sold another million chips right there. So anyway, you guys, thanks.
Working with our programmer on new technology, which never stops even.
See, there you go. Yeah, by the way, they are actually programming the Innokin boards right back there. Well, we were.
I can send that one up.
No, that's okay. We have that on video already.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys, thanks very much for the opportunity to come over here to see the plant, to see what's going on, to talk to you guys, to interview you guys, and get your message out there. So as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. George. Tell me about the next MVP. Tell me about the next MVP.
Be patient.
Thanks a lot. Okay, be patient. All right.
Can I taste your juice?